Hi, everybody. It's meteorologist Joe Chaffee on this Thursday. We're going to look at what's going on for late today and tonight and for the weekend. I'm going to show you that the first thing is that that's this front that's coming through and that there might be some scattered showers and thunderstorms. The GFS is somewhat bullish on this idea, but I'm going to switch now over to the NAM model and show you that the NAM really does very little with this. In terms of any showers or storms. I think it's worth leaving in the forecast. I don't think it's going to be anything widespread, but the more important thing is that the front moves through and it stalls out, and then we start to deal with a wave that's coming out of the Tennessee Valley. You can see it here on the NAM. By late Friday afternoon, rain begins to break out across southern New Jersey, southeastern Pennsylvania. At least bands of rain do, and then you get this one band of heavy rains that break out Friday night and start to lift northward, bringing rains up to New York City into the Hudson Valley. The heaviest rain is going to be probably, I'm going to say, from Route 78 in Pennsylvania across New Jersey, New York City, Long Island, southward, and they'll be on the northernmost edge. Will probably be on the edge of an inch or two, and then in areas in, say, central and South Jersey southward, there's probably going to be some 3-inch plus rains in some places. So flash flooding is going to be an issue. And another area of heavy rain to watch is back in this area in west central Pennsylvania, which will be under the upper air storm, which we'll show you in a second. But here's that surface low during Saturday, which moves northeastward. It may get a bit breezy along the coast. I'm thinking that it's not going to be anything problematic. Maybe 15 to 25 or 20 to 30 knots right along the immediate coast, and offshore it'll be stronger with higher seas. So this probably is not the weekend to want to go offshore fishing out to the Baltimore Canyon. That low, first low, pulls out, but there's still energy that gets left behind, and this is going to make it problematic for Sunday. The NAM doesn't show much in the way of any showers at this point, but it does show this onshore flow, and that is going to probably keep us at least in clouds, and I have to think that there might be some scattered downpours running around as well. There's another low that gets generated off the Carolinas and moves northeastward. The GFS, the European last night, actually wanted to bring this up northward to bring more rain in on Monday, but not sure about that. But this is a very complex setup. I'll go to the GFS now, and we're really tight geographically here on the map, but I will go wider at some point. The GFS has a bit of a stronger surface system, which it's sitting in Delaware Bay. This is for 2 a.m. Saturday morning, and you can see where the rain is, and in the yellows, orange, and reds, that's where your big downpours are, and you can see the GFS lifts it northward. This would make sense with respect to how the upper low is being defined, and also because of the fact that the upper air storm is back through here. Here's where that heavy rain is for parts of west central Pennsylvania. So let's draw a line across Pennsylvania and cut it in half, and then cut a box out of it in the corner here. So it's in this area here that I would suspect could be vulnerable to some very heavy rains for Saturday night. Saturday into Saturday night, and then that rain pulls out during Saturday afternoon or evening. On the GFS, it's a little slower, and here's that second low that it tries to develop east of the Delaware coast. You're getting this thing getting stretched all the way back to the coastline because of the structure of the upper air, and we'll switch over to that at this point. I'm going to go wider, and here's your upper air. Now, the real key to all this is this upper air storm and how strong it is, and ultimately, how it winds up tracking. But I want to show you from yesterday, the runs from yesterday, and the big differences that we had have developed with this. So there's your upper low that drops southeastward. But yesterday, the model took it into western Pennsylvania, and then quickly opened it up because this system that's sitting northeast of, just northeast of Newfoundland is strong and it's exerting an influence on it, so it opens it up, and that causes it to just move along to the northeast, out and goodbye. But there's a difference in today. It started last night and it continues today. The upper low, the energy to the north, is instead of causing this thing to open up and move out, this is moving out separately, leaving this upper low behind. And that makes the forecast complicated for Sunday. You can see it here. We've got the upper low, the upper air storm sitting up in northern Virginia, and you see how stretched out that is, versus yesterday's, which just basically had this open trough moving out to the east. It's a totally different look in terms of the upper air, so the outcome is going to be different. Rather than take one strong surface storm northeastward from the Delmarva Peninsula on up into southern New England, you get part of that to come out, and then part of it gets left behind. So that puts Sunday's weather in question, certainly in terms of cloud cover, and also then the possibility that there could be some scattered downpours around, even though models may not be necessarily generating those downpours at the moment. Let's look at total rainfall through this, because this does have flooding implications when this gets all played out. So I'll give you the GFS total rainfall, and from Long Island to about New York City, maybe just south of Route 78 in New Jersey into Pennsylvania southward, that's where the 2-inch line of rain lies. And in the darker purples over Central and South Jersey south of 195, that's where you get into some 3-4 inch plus amounts. I certainly think it's possible given what we're dealing with. And notice that there's an even bigger bullseye down over the Delmarva Peninsula. This profile is going to probably change a bit going forward. Just bear that in mind. So, if the system is perhaps a bit more vigorous with that lead piece of energy that's coming out, that you could wind up pushing the northern edge of 2 inches a little bit further to the north. The darker blues are a 1/2 inch. So once you get into northwest New Jersey and up the Hudson Valley in Connecticut, the rainfall declines substantially. So there's going to be a fairly tight gradient from, say, 1/4 to a 1/2 inch of rain to 1 inch of rain to 2 inches of rain. The NAM, on the other hand, has a very big rain bullseye sitting in northeastern New Jersey, and that's a 6-inch plus bullseye. This is on the new run. I just wanted to make sure, because yesterday in the late afternoon run, it really kind of went nuts with the precip, and then it really backed off. That's a 4-inch plus band here from central New Jersey to Long Island. And now it's kind of inched its way a little bit back toward that with this this maximum in northeastern New Jersey and touching the south shore of Long Island and New York City. I don't know that that's real. The NAM sometimes loves to overdo these things. I also would just suggest that because of the kind of system that we're dealing with, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody comes there. There are some amounts that wind up being a bit excessive. I would just, at this point, I would certainly say that in the area that you see shaded from white to the purples here, regardless of amounts, let's just say that that'll be a general area of 2-inch plus rains, and I would not be shocked to see flash flood watches go up for this later today, based on both the NAM and the GFS profile. The GFS is a little bit more reasonable, but the GFS also tends to smooth things out, so it's not going to really ever pick up on the extremes of what's happening. So there's your upper low going into Sunday morning, and you can see it doesn't get kicked out, it just stays back. So this complicates forecast for Sunday. It also complicates it for Monday, because it's still here, even though it's there, it's weakening. Its presence, the troughiness, is still here in the east and right along the east coast. So this is going to be a very difficult forecast issue going forward. I want to quickly look at the long-range pattern, because what that trough does ultimately will determine what kind of weather we get next week. Because if it wasn't for this, it would probably get very warm to hot for a few days with the upper air. The upper air setup. I'm going to go back just one run so we can go out a little further. Actually, you can even see the difference here from last night and from today. The trough is a little weaker, but it's bagged back a little bit further to the west. on today's run. So here's the upper air, and we'll move it along, and we go through Wednesday and Thursday. By Tuesday, it looks at least by Tuesday that weather conditions will finally improve because the trough does pull out. So it'll probably get very warm and humid for a couple of days. Here comes another trough and cold front for the end of the week, and then another one follows it. So you still have a sense of troughing in the east. The ridge in the west kind of gets flattened a little bit. By August 10th, 11th, it looks like it pulls the trough out, and now suddenly here at August 11th and 12th, you've got pretty much a ridge covering from the west coast all the way out to the eastern Atlantic, and the main jet has pulled up north of the Canadian border. So this would certainly suggest some hot, humid weather beginning around August 11th or so, and that takes us at the end of the period. But again, I would be cautious because the long range, we keep having these troughs coming into the east, and the models every couple of runs want to make the ridge come back. When I look at this upper air, if this were literally correct, it would certainly suggest to me that even in this instance, you have a pretty strong jet up in Canada that after, say, August 12th, you would see another trough of some sort, and there is a bit of a short wave there, if that were correct. Again, this is not going to be the exact look because we're at 16 days here, so this is going to change. But the overall trend of troughiness in the east, stronger ridge in the west, I think that remains pretty much unbroken, and that's how we're going to use it in our mindset going forward. Let me just look real fast. I didn't really give the tropical regions a good look today, so we'll do that, and I'll put the western Atlantic up. There's a couple of little tropical waves that are going to be coming off the African coast going forward. A couple of models who want to do their usual thing of spinning things up, like the Canadian, which loves to do that. And let's see what it does here on this run. You can kind of follow that little L, but it really doesn't, this run didn't really do very much with it. And, looking at this going forward, at least in terms of the GFS, you got waves coming off, but nothing really of consequence. All right, folks, have a great day. Time's kind of short for me, so I'm going to have to suspend the chat, an extended chat for tomorrow, and certainly over the weekend. We'll have plenty of time to get to it. And check out latest weather forecasts, meteorologist joechaffee.com, and Angry Ben on nycweathernow.com.